And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer 2021. I am still Pyrotechnics. He is still Clement. And we have got 5 more games coming at you. But before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. Now, Clement, we've just seen our first game of the night, but this next one, I think Liyab hoping for a little bit of redemption on their side, trying to close out their first round robin with a win. But it's going to be really hard to do against the likes of Mega Bank Beyond Gaming.
It definitely is an uphill struggle for Liyab coming into this one. However, we do have Beyond Gaming coming in with a little bit of imbalance here. They did lose yesterday to Esports and have a very emergency swap into the top lane. We will be looking at Liyab Esports first, though, with pretty much all of the same players still joining the roster.
Yeah, this Kanji top definitely seems to be cemented in place for the time being. And he looks pretty happy about it, all things considered, as they get ready to kick off today. You know, Liyab is a team that we had seen improvement from. We had seen their early game, I think, pick up some pieces a little bit, especially from previous split. But they have still been unable to find a win here. They just haven't been able to close it out. And I think there's just a lot of answers they have yet to find. It's hard to define, I think.
Yeah, you could definitely look at it from that angle. I will try to focus on the positives for this team. One thing is that they've had a massively improved early game, and they have actually held on to keeping abreast with the First Bloods. They have a 50% First Blood rate overall of their games. Dodo is definitely doing his job on that one. And on the other fun point, Kanji actually has not played the same champion twice when he's a top laner. So we could be ending out the split with a 10-plus champion roster from him.
Maybe we will get even more difference this time around. Now, their opponents, Mega Bank Beyond Gaming, we did talk about it. We hinted at it. Liang is back in the starting lineup in the top side, joining Husha, Maoan, Dago, and Kino. After Beyond Gaming's loss yesterday, surprising loss against the likes of a very resurgent Boom Esports.
And a large part was because PK got absolutely blasted top laner. I think there's no other gentler way to put it. Rocky did a number onto him, and PK has been kind of your go-to tank guy on the blue side. Now they're going to come in with Liang, I think, with a bit more of that fighter type of top laner, give that 1-3-1, which I think has been sort of the dominant meta style in the PCS so far, a chance to run on Beyond Gaming. So far, Beyond Gaming, they have one successful composition, which is front to back and Dago on hyper carry. But when we see them switch it back to something they ran more in spring with the Kaisa, with that sort of a pick comp, it didn't really work out with PK. And I think what we're going to see with Liang is them trying to deviate and trying to practice for the postseason. Frankly, they already have a ticket into the playoffs. They should be trying to diversify and trying to stir up other types of archetypes. And I think Maoan is going to be a big part of that as well. Yesterday, we saw his Aurelia. I was not very impressed. Let's see if he can still hang on to 11.14 with some other stronger picks.
Yeah, overall, though, impressive stats from Maoan despite yesterday's performance. Comparing him, of course, we will be looking at Xyliath, who has come in. There have been a couple of swaps around. He's not even always played in that mid lane because they've had Kanji come down to that mid on at least one occasion now. But Liyab, unfortunately, haven't been able to find a win with Xyliath here. Still, he gets. I don't think he's had too much of a hard time individually in the laning phase. I think he's been at least a competent mid laner so far this split.
I would agree with you. From what we've seen so far, it does seem like Xyliath is still more comfortable in the mid. His top lane performances compared to Kanji, I think, were a little bit worse. So for the foreseeable future, I definitely see Liyab actually backpedaling a little bit, not going for the swaps that much, and keeping Xyliath mid for his champions like Galio, or his roamers like Twisted Fate, I think have had a much more positive impact.
Right.
And we're going to go right into the drafting phase. A lot of respect shown for Dodo here, just taking out the Olaf. Frankly, I don't really care about the Olaf. To me, he's on the same level as the Trundle. If the enemy team wants him, you know what? Go ahead, take him. I am much more afraid of the Xin Zhao compared to the Olaf, but that's what Dodo is like to pick. I can understand teams denying Dodo his champion, so be it.
Yeah, they're going to force him onto something else. We had talked about it yesterday that, some of these teams closer down the standings maybe had a bit of a crutch with some of these champions, and maybe if he gets forced on something different, well, we'll have to see. I mean, all of the champions Dodo has played the split have now been banned. Viego, Olaf, and Lee Sin by Liyab themselves. And the Gwen, of course, will also be removed.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. We are going to have a debut champion coming out from Dodoy, but looking at the picks right here, I would actually be very happy if they just slam a Xin Zhao and call it.
There we go.
Okay, finally they do it. We can even see the smiles from Kanji. It's like, haha, they banned our Viego and banned our Olaf just to give us Xin Zhao. I would count that as a solid drafting win.
Yeah, that's the long con, Clement. Got to pick all the Olafs so people start banning it against you, and then haha, switch it up at the last second. Beyond Gaming on their side, first pick is going to be the Silas coming in. Maoan has played this champion a couple of times. Quick pickup here. LeBlanc fully open. They do not opt to take it.
And I do want to point out this is potentially going to Liang as well. He has had a couple of Silas games in spring. And like we mentioned, I feel like Beyond Gaming, when they're running Liang, they're most likely going to go for an early aggressive strategy and try to play more of a 1-3-1, where it's less about a Felios or Kaisa carry and more about just safety picks for Dago. I really like Varus in this instant. He's great with the poke composition in a 1-3-1. He doesn't have to go too far forward. And he also opens up your side lane because he's such a strong bottom lane just by himself. Probably the best pick you can go for in a 1-3-1. Meanwhile, Liyab are going to answer back with the Rise, which is a debut for Xyliath too. So we'll see how he does against this, but it is a champion where I feel like you can try and match into the late game for some of these side lane picks.
All right, Beyond will also take the opportunity to lock in the Volley Bear as well, trying to keep things a little close to the vest. And yeah, I like what Liyab are doing, adapting a little bit more and changing it up with some of these champion picks. Really liked that they went for the Xin Zhao when open. And on the Beyond side, things changing a little bit as well. The Varus coming in. It's only the second time Dago will get his hands on that champion this split. Has been pretty much an Aphelios main for most of it so far. But the last game, they faced off against Boom, and I think that's the first time we'd actually seen Beyond's bottom lane really get 2v2'd or even forced back at all. A little bit of over-aggression from them, and they get punished, and now they try to go for a much safer outcome. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. That bottom lane performance was a bit head-scratching. We have to give a lot of credit to Pop for making that happen. I felt like his counter engages were really nicely played. But for Beyond Gaming, that is a big question. Can they resume this sort of bot lane dominance here? They are being really respectful, taking out a lot of Dawn's champions. And I think for Liyab, they should probably take away something like the Alistar. Usually when you know the enemy team is playing like the 1-3-1, Alistar is kind of your go-to. The Beyond Gaming could pick up something like the Leona, but frankly, I think in this archetype setup, Alistar is a little bit more dangerous. We'll see if they go for that one. They could also go for the Rakan. Kino can play something like that, or the set for that matter. But what I do
there's
expect,
a lot of options.
Yeah, what I think Mega Bank Beyond Gaming should do right here is still definitely save Liang, give him a great counter pick. They can still wait and see where Liyab's lanes are going to go at the very end. Frankly, I'm not sure if Kanji is ever going to play Aurelia, and there is the Alistar. Frankly, I felt like Alistar should have been the ban instead of the Leona, but this is what Liyab is going to go for.
All right, getting that one locked in. Liyab have their final picks to go. Dawn able to go for maybe something a little safe. And Dawn is somebody who's played a lot of champions himself this split. Honestly, full 7 out of 8 games so far.
Kanji, don't do it. No!
Oh, Kanji locks in the Renekton.
The pick your flavor train has ended. Kanji has now selected the same champion twice in the top lane.
Oh, what does it mean, Clement? Is it an omen?
No, it actually doesn't mean anything. I think Renekton's a perfectly fine pick, but for my own selfish purposes, I really wanted Kanji to just pick a different champion every single time. Which is, it's not really a
it would have been pretty cool to see. But yeah, a little epic. All right, so now we get the answer. What Beyond will be going for here is they have been really hovering this Aurelia a number of times throughout pick ban, as it has made it all the way through to the end here. I think that could slot into the comp, and it gives them a lot of opportunities, putting the Silas in the mid lane, having Liang on this carry. But it ends up being the Camille at the end of the day, and man, there's some serious mobility here, as well as a little bit of range in the back from that Varus.
Yeah, we did have Mega Bank Beyond Gaming just thinking about whether or not they wanted the Aurelia versus Ryze matchup. That one is a matchup where it is very Aurelia favored. Ryze has a hard time getting away from Flawless Duet. But at the very end, they thought about it, and they were just going like, okay, we're not going to destroy the Sylas matchup. Sylas does not have a good time against Renekton, so they go with a much more muted counter pick. I don't think either the Sylas or the Camille really has that good of a time in lane against these blue side power picks from Liyab. But, you know, from Megabank Beyond Gaming side, they have scaling on their favor, so they are willing to play more of a long con game, go for a 1-3-1. I do expect this to be a relatively slow early game from all of these lanes, and I would not be surprised if Liyab actually come out ahead in the early game. I think this is definitely the drafts to do so when you have the Renekton, when you're going against a Sylas mid, that is another scaling champion, and it's really about how much Liyab can run away with the early game topside.
Yeah, that's always going to be a challenge. We've talked about how this team has improved their early game so drastically. If they can get a good enough lead and start to snowball it in, maybe that's the opportunity. Liyab can close out with a win, but it's a hard team to do it against. Beyond Gaming looking to find a win after yesterday's unexpected loss to Boom Esports to really maintain their dominance over pretty much everybody but PSG in the PCS. Will they be able to continue to do that, or will Liyab pull off an even crazier upset than we have seen? They've got the tools in the kit to do it. I like the adaptations. I like the changes in draft. Dodoy going to be on a debut Xin Zhao here on 11.14. We will find out as we load up onto Summoner's Rift. Liyab Esports taking on Megabank Beyond Gaming.
I feel like I know this script. Megabank Beyond Gaming has actually helped to unleash Dodoy from his chains. Dodoy, he was playing Olaf, he was playing, I think he played a little bit of Trundle as well, but those were not actually the champions for him. Xin Zhao is actually his best champion all along, and BYG has just fallen into the trap. They threw away two
Pusha fell in the trap,
and now Dodoy is going to punish them for it.
Oh my goodness, they get the flash, they get the first blood, it's on Kanji. That was a beautiful brush bait.
And now we have it. I feel like this is where it's going to go. You know, bot lane, they use a flash, but that really doesn't matter. They still have a very favorable trade. We do have Husha, on the other hand, being very vulnerable now. Dodoy can walk into his jungle and challenge him to a duel quite easily and chase him down with that extra flash. And we do have to remember that Liyab's strategy is to play more towards the 2v2 topside early game. So that's going to be very detrimental to Liang, who also isn't running a flash.
Yeah, Liang going for a very aggressive summoner choice with the Ignite TP. But all of a sudden, Kanji has a little bit more swagger in his step, I would think, to start things off. So this is a good start for Liyab. We'll see if they can keep it rolling right here in this early game as Dodoy gets a nice little leash onto his red buff. And we'll have to keep tracking Husha throughout this game, see what he does to adapt to the fact that he gets first blooded quickly there.
And we do have to talk a little bit about the Camille Ignite. We saw this as Worlds, and the reason that players are bringing it is to make the trades a bit more even against the Renekton. You cut down on his healing, you get a bit more damage in, but the flip side is you do make yourself a little bit more vulnerable to ganks. So it is kind of a double-edged sword where I feel like Liang in this particular setup where Renekton is coming in with an extra long sword, it's almost pure downside at this point, to be honest, just because of that early game start. So we'll have to pay close attention to how Liang actually plays this out. Can he actually stay safe in this setting, especially with Xaylia being able to leave lane quite early on, which is to be expected in this matchup. Where Sylas does have a hard time against range matchups, can't really push out early on, and there is a lot of pressure on Liang, to be honest.
Yeah, it comes back into the roster, and all of a sudden this. Have to keep an eye on that one as well. As you mentioned, summoners in the bottom lane burned for Aiden. Not going to be too worried about it this early in the game. We do know that Dagu and Kino are one of those rare bottom lanes that really do like to get super aggressive, but it kind of bit them in the behind last time around. Oh, here comes Dodoy in the lane. He's not going to find Husha on the red buff. In fact, he just sort of like ships passing in the night. Doesn't see him. But he does head towards the top side. I think we might get ourselves a little early dive action going on. Xaylia taking a lot of damage from Mawon in that early trade. Does turn it back, but he's playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, I wonder the big question now is, do they know which direction Husha can potentially come in from? It does look like Xylath is just going to leave his lane. And this is a very successful trade for Dodoy because he still has one quadrant of the map to farm while he's already taken everything on the bottom side for himself. So Husha actually finishes Raptors and Red went bottom, and there's absolutely nothing for him. He's basically just sitting around waiting for a gank that I don't think should happen from Liyab's side. I feel like Liyab, without their summoners on Aiden, should be disciplined enough to avoid this.
Yeah, Aiden got that hook, but it was just trading out a little bit. Dodoy, so far, really helping his team to some early leads, and they're trying to get Kanji really far ahead here as he is pushing Liang far back into the tower. Of course, stealing out some of that jungle camp's top side. We'll see if there's any counter pressure here coming in for Husha, as he did go bottom a little earlier. They got a couple of wards slammed down in the river brush, but not a whole lot else as Kino, I think he was spotted on that roam by Xylath.
And it does look like what Mega Bank Beyond Gaming want to do this game is to split the map in half. They're basically giving up on Liang and saying, well, if Dodo is going to be top most of the time, we're going to have to make sure we get a trade into the bottom side, and this is what they're playing for. They do have most of the bottom side path from mid to bottom lane already warded up, so they will be able to just move across this terrain without any interruption, and it looks like this is their game plan. They're basically scuttling Camille and making sure that their bot gets ahead. But if Dawn and Aiden play this correctly, as it looks like they are just waiting for Xin Zhao to join them here, then Beyond Gaming has effectively wasted a lot of resources.
Yeah, Husha spent a lot of time sitting around in that brush, and Aiden doesn't spot him on the way out there, but he's not getting his camps done, and it's allowing Dodoy to just start moving further and further ahead as he's just power leveling through the lanes. They should have eyes on him, I think, from that one deep ward that was placed, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot if Husha's not really able to get any counter pressure anywhere. So Liyab really starting well in this early game, built themselves just shy of 1,000 gold lead. That first blood early on certainly helping out a lot, but we'll see what they can do with it. Level advantage here for Kanji. I have to think some dives may be imminent.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. I feel like the biggest comeback play that Mega Bank Beyond Gaming can do is the level 6 bottom dive. If you look at their crowd control, they have a whole host of tools right here. They have the Stormbringer, they have the Hextech Ultimatum, and they also have Chains of Corruption. So I feel like going for the bot lane here is probably in the cards. At this point, going up against Renekton when he's this far ahead and already sitting on Dominus is kind of a risky proposition. Husha could go for that play. I don't think he's going to feel comfortable about it.
We could have a 2v2. Neither jungler actually has hit 6 yet. Yeah, they're just kind of like dancing around this. I don't think they want it just yet. Dodoy is just going to settle for clearing Scuttlecrab instead.
Yeah, I think that's the right play to sort of shadow your top lane, make sure that Husha can't come in and get the extra kill. And on the other hand, for Mega Bank Beyond, I think their calling is in the bot side as well, so they're not going to invest too heavily into Liang. Unfortunately, he's going to be on the island this game. He has to survive the 1v2.
Yeah, oh, the flash, the follow, and they even bring Xylath just hunting for this Camille. That's going to be the Hextech Ultimatum, but it's not going to mean a damn thing as Kanji claims the kill.
Yep, and we see Mega Bank already going on to the flip side of the map. Sorry, Liang, you are on your own, and we are going to continue to invest into the bottom. Really nicely played there by Dodo. I'm not sure if he actually got the interrupt. I think he did on the hookshot, and they were able to chase down Beyond because there is no flash on him. It's actually quite an easy target to focus on. And it's going to get even worse for Leon. I don't think things are going to get better. So,
welcome back to the PCS. Here's your weak side top laner. Unfortunate.
Yep. Welcome. You're on Hanabi duty right now. Can they actually get anything on the bottom side is the big question for me.
Well, they did get a dragon, at least in the timing. But yeah, in terms of bottom pressure, we have to keep watching. Right now, Doggo has been out farming Dawn decently well, but that doesn't matter as much. You want to be able to get pressure. You want to be able to get tower plates. Kino is going roaming as they target out the Rise. Xylath takes a lot of punishment. Depth charge lands as Maoan was able to steal that a lot earlier, but will Dodoy let him get out with his life? I think the answer is no, as they trade back 1 for 1.
pretty decent play still, but here comes the bot dive.
Yeah, they weren't done yet. Dawn actually instantly cleanses, and he kind of leaves Aiden just on his own there. A little bit ill-advised, perhaps, with the push. It was just the two of them.
Yeah, and this is super awkward because you see Liyab actually getting a lot of free time on that top tower. They're finally going to rotate over, and just a kind of an odd mistake from Liyab. They didn't actually see Husha mid, and I felt like that was the wrong call. The one that ganked them was actually Alistar. It wasn't Husha, so forcing the issue a little bit too hard, and they do get punished for it. You know, Liyab still holding on to their lead with this Herald coming in as well. I do want to commend Kino for that play. That was very unexpected coming in from the top side there. And Xyliath was well underneath his own tower, but still falls down to the engage coming in with the help of Depth Charge.
Yeah, Xyliath actually up to the top, pushing it. Looks like he will be...
Should
be able to deal with this as the Hextech Ultimatum comes in, and the party portal, he cannot make the escape. Dodoi and Kanji were too late to the party, so all of a sudden Mega Bank Beyond Gaming are the ones that find the tempo play. Once again here.
Yeah, he just went a little bit too far forward. Could have waited for the rest of the team to rotate up, but Beyond Gaming are able to take him down with the burst damage, so... We had Liyab starting this game with a 2,000 gold lead, but that has all but evaporated at this point. Just a number of missteps coming in from Xyliath. I don't really blame him because of how strong Beyond Gaming's pick combo is, but he definitely could have waited a little bit longer. You know, the play definitely wasn't worth his death right there. And now we find Mega Big Beyond just actually overtaking the gold lead.
Yep. It's started to tilt back in their favor. They have the extra Infernal Dragon in the mix as well. And, you know, Liyab are going to have to find some answers. I think they tried to get a little fancy by swapping Xyliath around and, you know, going a little hyphy in the bottom side, but just a couple mistakes, string them together, and Beyond are going to be able to get right back in, and this is exactly what they did.
So the key point for BYG is to get one of their side lanes to the point where they can split push. And in that regards, I feel like they're still a ways off to making 1-3-1 happen. However, at this point, their pick composition is incredibly strong, and they can start moving Doggo out of lane against Ezreal. As we can see here, Ezreal is running more defensive runes. He is going to get pushed in, and we have another collapse.
Yeah, that's going to be Husha coming in with the Stormbringer. And on top of him and Mawon, it is Xyliath open season right now.
Oof, that crowd control combo is just so deadly. You chain the guaranteed stun into the abduct there. There's nothing Xyliath can do. He was sitting well underneath his own tower. Like, you're supposed to be safe. Your tower is your safe haven. It is your port of calling, but unfortunately not for Xyliath and not against a Sylas plus Volibear combo. And this is something that I feel like Beyond Gaming do better than any other team out there, is utilizing Husha and his tower dive potential. We've seen this especially against the J-Team game, where they kill Lucian twice underneath his own tower, underneath his own second tower by the way. And This is something I feel like a lot of teams have to be more careful of when they're going up against Husha, is making sure that they actually have the left side of the mid lane brush actually warded.
Liyab are going to try and make use of their Rift Herald to secure themselves first brick in the top. They will be able to do it. So Dodoi and Kanji continue to kind of work their way through some objectives, but they're going to have to contend with Mawon and Kino if they wanted to go a little further. They do get the second charge off on Shelly, so not a bad series of moves there.
I like the way that Liyab actually played that. None of them went into tower range. Most critically, they had a good inkling that Malan and Kino are roaming around, so they just get the free Herald charge, they make sure the Herald goes in, and then they back out very respectfully. They still have time to reset and join this Drake fight. Probably a little bit slow, actually. Yeah, they're not going to be there on time, so my mistake, they're not going to be able to contest. But I like the way they played it. They kept it really safe and made sure that Kanji is going to hold on to his lead. And this is the sort of second big question I have for Liyab is, can they actually play with split pushing Kanji? As we have said many times in the past, Kanji actually has one of the lowest kill participation rates, and the rest of the team on Liyab, they simply do not wait for their Japanese import. They just go in when they want to. And it's been really disjointed between the 4-man and the 1-man on Kanji. Even when Kanji has had sizable leads, they have not been able to transfer it into a teamfight scenario.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test for Liyab if they choose to opt into the strategy, see if they can improve their communication issues somewhat. Looks like trying to set up a play towards the bottom side. They do ping. Dodoy really wants to get this dive going. But Dodoy going into the jungle, I think he might have spotted the edge of Maoan there. Maoan's just been, like, consistently stealing the depth charge this game. He's got some fun ultimates to play with on that Sylas.
Yeah, depth charge is definitely your go-to. It has such a good AP ratio. I think it's like 0.8 or even maybe 1.0, but it's absolutely ridiculous and something that you're never going to think about when you're actually playing Nautilus himself. It's more of a Sylas thing.
Yeah.
And the burst damage we've seen has been so critical in just getting tower dives. I feel like that's the main go-to play that Beyond Gaming are relying on this point, just constantly just going for Xyliath, even though he's not even worth 200 gold at this point. But, you know, when that's the only play on the map, you just hit it over and over again.
This turret plates really tell the story of how the early game shaked out. Liyab getting all of them, almost all of them, towards the top side. Meanwhile, Beyond Gaming managing to kind of have a nice little bit more even spread after some dives, after some counter engagements. Here comes Maoan up to the top. It looks like he'll be the one duking it out with Kanji. I'm just going to hand wave at each other.
I really like how Kanji has played this so far. You know, he actually had a ward in the river and saw Liang just circling around him. And I feel like he has a pretty good premonition of what's going to happen if he goes too far forward. So he just stays here and allows the play to develop for him. Kanji, for me, even though he's been traditionally a mid laner, has actually done very, very well in the top. And now Xyliath.
Ooh.
Gotta hate life.
Yeah, this time it's a 1v1. That was ill-advised. He flashes, and he is already a dead man. Dodoy turns on, counter-engage, looking for Husha. In goes Keynote into the bear. That is a huge combo. Husha manages to open up with that first kill, and Aiden flashes out, but Liang will follow in, and Beyond Gaming just said it's go time. They're going to go ahead and get not one, not two, not three, but 4 kills for themselves.
Yeah, that was pretty ill-advised coming in from Liyab. I think they forgot the fact that Liang still had his TP. So even though Liang was on the bottom side, it was still a 5v4 on the top lane. And Beyond Gaming had a much better start of the fight, throwing down the chains of corruption, forcing everyone away, and Dodoy had to escape past his own team. However, this might be the comeback for Liyab.
Xyliath wants to make a play. Doggo and Kino very low. Here comes Husha in for some relief. They just don't connect with enough of the damage that they need. Dawn looking for the chase. Ping's flying. And Liang would be the cavalry to arrive, so they'll get away with it. And Beyond, I think it is safe to say firmly in the driver's seat now.
They got so much out of that sequence of play. The kill in the bot side, the team fight in the top, which, let's be honest, Liyab actually started themselves. They thought they had a numbers advantage, but Liang was very happy to just TP behind them and make this a 5v4 anyway. So Liyab, essentially, they shook hands on a pretty terrible play for them. Kanji, he gets the backline, but there is no follow-up already. His team is scattered in the wind or dead. And then, on top of that, they lose 2 towers. So, a really bad trade coming in. Kino might die here. He does go down. And at least they do stop the bleeding. They claw back with the play of themselves on Liyab's end.
Yeah, Liyab managing to get something to arrest a little bit of the momentum. You can see the gold graph starting to go well against them in this game. I do like that Beyond have taken some notes from their loss against Boom. They've certainly well adapted the Alistar, Volibear, come on and slam combo.
Yeah, it's always fun to see that one just go down. And the fact that you can't hide underneath your towers just means that Beyond Gaming can close out games where they have a lead very, very firmly. There's almost nothing that the enemy team can do. And I think Volibear's potential at countering out map trades has been criminally underrated. The thing about Volibear is that if you overload one side of the map, you can always continue because towers don't even matter and the enemy can't play defense whatsoever. We're going to be taking another look at this. It's just a Kino going in a little bit too early. Bit of a mad cow disease for him. He loses his life, doesn't get the tower defend, and you know, small hiccups for sure, but not going to stop Beyond Gaming from just snowballing this third trade.
Well, they'll be able to secure it. That is going to put them on sole point for the mountain. And with so much vision, very difficult for Liyab to go anywhere and contest, even if they were in the area. And it does seem like the game plan for Liyab now, maybe just try to 1-3-1 this, but they have 3 towards the top side looking to push down objectives. They seem a little, well, you know, not to overuse a pun or beat it to death, but a little cowed, I would say.
For sure. I do like this Death Brush setup, but Beyond Gaming are coming in with numbers. They have anticipated a 3-man.
Okay, Dodoy decides he wants to try and fight it out, but the rest of his team runs for the hills as he had nowhere to go. Liang will get the kill, and Liang's come right back into this one, into relevance. You're getting to that point where Kanji's not going to be nearly as effective on the map, and 3 kills into Camille's pocket certainly going to go a long way towards setting up that split push ability.
For sure. This is absolutely amazing how Beyond Gaming has come back in this game, despite such a bad start. This was one of the worst starts Beyond Gaming I've ever seen, and Kanji might be strong outside of the tower. Don't think he really stands a chance inside.
Dominus. Oh boy.
Kanji could still come back from this. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, it's a Dominus battle though. Malon wins that one.
Yeah, even with the full rage and the Call of the Meek, he's not able to get much HP back whatsoever from Malon, and Malon just had a much better start to the fight, able to force a couple of tower shots onto Kanji. I just feel like Kanji was getting desperate there, trying to knock down the tower as soon as possible. Just gets picked off quite easily by a 4-1 Malon at this point. So Beyond Gaming, I really think that Husha deserves to have all of the credit for dragging his team back in, honestly. And there were a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes from Liyab. Let's be absolutely honest. Their bot lane was kind of just a give me, and Husha is now again on the aggressive.
Yep, and they get the combo. Once again, Kino following up with the aftershock hit there. Dodoy going down, and wow, knockups left, right, and center. Maoan borrowing Aiden's depth charge to get even more, and another Rift Herald charge in onto the tower, actually staying alive with 386 hit points. Oh, there's a chance here. Maybe we get that Dancing Rift Herald today.
Well, it has to survive one more Herald charge, which I don't think it can do at this point.
It's going to get the next turret.
Oh, wait a minute.
Still got 40 hit points. Oh, we might get it. 14.
Come on, Shelly. You can do it,
They got to let Shelly get that charge. Let's go.
Oh,
We got ourselves a Rift Herald 20-30, and Liyab will fall. Good early game for them, but Beyond just plowed their way down the mid lane.
Husha honestly just deserves all the credit in this one, just dragging his team back. He was able to tower dive Xyliaf twice, and also defend the bot lane where we saw a little bit of over-aggression on Aiden's end. Getting those couple of kills was critical in stabilizing the game for them and making sure that Mon actually got on the board. Once Mon was able to leave his lane, I feel like the story was very, very different. We saw that play in the bottom side where Liang got a kill. Liyab forced their way into a 5v4, got absolutely decimated, lost 2 towers plus a Herald after that. And I felt like that was just Beyond Gaming coming firmly into the driver's seat after that play. And this one is just one of those instances where you see the enemy is away on one of those side lanes, you can super hard force with the Alistar, plus the Volibear combo. You disable the tower, and when the tower even comes back, it's still targeting Kino with Unbreakable Will. He's not even taking that much damage from the tower. You just mop up the rest of the team from there.
Yeah, a really nice closeout there from Beyond Gaming. I think this was another one of those characteristic games from Liyab where they started off actually doing some really nice things. I love the brush bait. It just, gets an early kill onto the Renekton. They start to try and snowball that lane. They do pretty well across the 3. But then in the mid game, stumblings start happening. They make some mistakes. The collapse from Beyond multiple times onto Xyliath. And again, I mean, what do you do if you're even the Rise in that situation? As you mentioned, he's sitting under tower being as safe as possible, but they just started bullying him out. They started putting more kills into Liang's pocket, who comes back in, and despite the landing phase maybe not looking quite as good for him early on, becomes incredibly relevant and just starts hunting people. And Beyond kind of just come thundering back with, I think that might actually be our fastest win so far. It might have just beaten our previous record.
I think the fastest win is still like 20 minutes and 17 seconds. So
maybe just a little bit after. Yeah,
but
it's
it
still
was very
though
close. It's definitely in top 3.
What a turnaround! And we got the Dancing Rift Herald, but you can see the exact moment at which, this game really started getting out of control there, as Liyab just were unable to really stop some of the bleeding coming out as Husha dragged his team back into it. Maoan, Liang were getting a lot of kills. Honestly, Kino is roaming, set up so many of those plays, and you can see it in the number of assists he has just all over the map, setting his team up for success.
Yeah, the main narrative of this story is Kino and Husha got to mid lane before Kanji with his massive lead could actually go to mid lane. The Renekton, I felt like 2 of his teleports were actually wasted into the mid lane trying to prop up Xylia after he was already sniped out. And Maon comes in with a well-deserved MVP here, 5-1 and 2. And critically, he always was able to set up and find the abduct on those plays onto Xylia. They killed him twice, and in the team fights, he was absolutely dominant as well. So very strong comeback win for Megabank Beyond Gaming. I felt like a lot of their early game stuff didn't work out. They never found the bot lane dive that they were setting up for multiple times. It looked pretty dire, but then out of nowhere, Kino and Husha just able to get Xylia killed and give that gold over to Maon to then snowball the entire game back. A very, very amazing game. If you have asked me at 6 minutes or 7 minutes into the game if this game would end at 20-34, I would have said that you were absolutely joking. There's no way that Liyab would collapse that fast. But Beyond Gaming made it happen. I'm actually pretty impressed.
Yeah, I mean, they're really like flipping a switch to turn it around. They managed to get themselves that comeback win. But we are going to go ahead and take a bit of a cool down. When we return, more of the PCS summer. Don't go anywhere.